When we communicate with websites and apps, our communications are generally encrypted. This is true for data on our devices as well. This ensures that if we lose our phone or our external hard drive, no one else, ideally, besides us, can read what's inside. This is essential at a time where we have a lot of sensitive information on our devices, such as credit cards data, and hackers are ready to steal them. Have you ever wondered how this works? Well, let's check it out together. Encryption is an ancient process. One of the earliest forms of encryption was found in Egypt in the 1900 before Christ. The Roman Empire and ancient Greece also used encryption for military purposes to make sure that enemies were not able to read secret messages that were sent to the army. One of the most famous examples of encryption is called the Caesar Cipher. The Caesar Cipher takes the name from the Roman emperor, who used this method to encode his private communication. This encryption process works by shifting each letter of a message by some fixed number of positions down the alphabet. So here's an example. Imagine we have a simple message that says hello. We decide to move each of the letters by 3 positions, and we get a new message, KHOOR. In this case, the new message is called ciphertext, which is the result of the encryption of the original message. The original message is generally referred as plain text, while 3, the number by which each letter was shifted, is called the encryption key. By knowing the encryption key, a person can both encrypt and decrypt a message. This algorithm was powerful at that time, but it contained some flaws. The main one is that given the ciphertext, it's fairly easy to guess the plain text. This is true because there are only 26 letters in the English alphabet, which for this algorithm means 26 possibilities. So if for some reason one of the Julius Caesar ciphertext got intercepted and the enemy knew how the algorithm worked, it could just try all the possibilities and find out what the original message was. Let's move from the Roman Empire to the Russian spies during the Cold War. When Rudolf Abel was arrested in New York City in 1950, they found him with a Onetime pad. It was a little notebook where on each page there was a series of characters and numbers. Each of these series was a single-use encryption key, which was used to encrypt messages that should not have been readable in the case American intercepted them. This algorithm is called a Onetime pad, and it was one of the most common ways of encryption used by the Soviet Union during the 20th century. The way a Onetime pad works is not too different compared to the Caesar Cipher. In this case, we encrypt our message using another word as an encryption key, with the same number of characters as the original word. Let's say our original message, hello, and a random string with 4 characters, A, B, C, D, E. Now let's convert each of these letters to their corresponding index in the English alphabet. H is the 8th letter in the English alphabet, E the 5th, L the 12th, and O the 15th. We did the same for our encryption key ABCD, which of course results in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We now add those numbers one by one, and we perform a modulo operation with 26, which is the total number of letters in the alphabet. Do not worry if this seems a bit unusual and you're not familiar with a modulo operation. It's not essential here, but the idea is that if the sum is bigger than 26, it will just be divided by 26 and we'll just use the remainder of that division. This results in the string IOGPT, which is our cipher. Once the person receives this message, it will subtract the encryption key to the ciphertext and apply the same modulo operation. This will give back the indices of the original letter. You can see that compared to the Caesar ciphertext, this algorithm is much harder to break. If a hacker was able to intercept the ciphertext and knew what the algorithm was, without a key, it would be almost impossible to decode it. It could try all the combination of words with 4 letters, but even by doing that, several possible words will come out, such as birds, books, and any other word you can think with 4 letters in the English alphabet, not really giving any hint about what the original message was. One of the main issues of this algorithm is that every message should have a different key, and each key should be used only once. This is important since if every message was encrypted with the same key, it's possible that someone that intercepted several messages could get the original key. They could do that by trying several combinations using the same key, and at some point they might be able to crack what the original message was and also all the other messages. So this is why the Soviet Union spies kept a notebook and they were throwing pages out once they were used all the keys written on them. As I mentioned in the beginning, encryption is still used today for several applications. One example is the hard disk in your computer. Probably when you turn on your computer, you have to input a password. I really hope you have to do, otherwise you should change that. And the reason you have to do that is because that password is your encryption key. Without that one, all the content of your hard drive would not be readable. Similarly to how our string hello got transformed into ASDFA with the encryption key ABCDE. So we've seen two examples of encryption that use words, but the same algorithm can be applied to images, videos, and any sort of file that you have on your computer. What you see here is a picture of downtown New York City, and below there is its encrypted version. You can see that from the ciphertext, it's impossible to understand the original content, unless we're provided with a key. When we use the same encryption key for both decoding and encoding some content, the encryption is called symmetric. This assumes that a key has been selected by both parties beforehand. In the case of Caesar, he told his allies the number of letters to shift before starting the encrypted communications. Similarly, Soviet Union spies received some one-time pad before leaving for a mission. But in all the situations where two parties cannot meet and decide on a key beforehand, how does it work? If you're curious about that, make sure you watch my upcoming video on asymmetric encryption. And to get notified as soon as it is out, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel below.